Welcome to another episode of Mining Now. Today we are joined by Samantha Espley. She is the VP of Bestech. She is also the acting president of CIM. And she's here to discuss their work in innovation, economic development, and community contributions in order to make mines more efficient and profitable. Before we can continue, let's thank our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by CIM. CIM is the leading membership organization for technical content and creating connections in the mining industry. Mining professionals and students can access a breadth of technical expertise through the CIM Technical Paper Library, the One Mine Digital Repository, the CIM Journal, the CIM Magazine, and attend upcoming webinars. They also have a 4-day virtual event coming up, the CIM Capital Project Symposium, which is all about project execution. This is a great opportunity to discuss lessons learned, new ideas, and to establish a means of ongoing communication and collaboration to come up with new ways to safely and successfully execute mine capital projects. This is coming up on November 2nd to the 5th of 2020. Again, this is a virtual 4-day event, and you can register on their website at capitalprojects.cim.org. And you can also visit CIM at cim.org. We are also sponsored by Savinaw Equipment. Savinaw Equipment supplies new and used mining equipment around the world, from placer to underground to ore processing plants. They have gold concentrating tables, trommels, and mineral jigs in stock now to take advantage of the high gold prices. You can visit their entire inventory at savinawequipment.com, where you will find more equipment every day. And last but not least, we are sponsored by Power Zone Equipment. When you need a specialized team of world-class engineers for your oil and gas pipelines, dewatering, or any fluid handling needs, you want to visit powerzone.com. In addition to their inventory of rebuilt pumps, motors, engines, they also have an amazing team to design and engineer your systems, no matter the challenge, no matter the location. Get in the zone with Power Zone. Visit them at powerzone.com. Well, let's get on with this episode of Mining Now.
Welcome to Mining Now, everyone. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Today, I have a special guest on the episode because this is for personal reasons, because I've got to interview two presidents from CIM, and Samantha, you'll be my third president. So I have Samantha Espley. Wow, I butchered that. Samantha Espley on. So there's just on the intro, there's quite a bit to cover. You're the sitting president of CIM for 2020-21, and you've also started a new role with Bestech, which is what we'll be covering along today. You're now their VP, is that right?
That's right. I am the vice president of their mining transformation.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome to the show. I know you've done. I think you've done a fair amount of speaking, but have you done a lot of these long form, podcast, video streaming interviews?
No, this is a first for me, and I'm really excited to be on the show. And just have a chat with you about some of my insights and thoughts about the mining industry.
Well, I especially like someone like yourself who's been in the industry. I think you've been about 30 years in the mining industry, so you have a lot of experience. And I like this long form, especially for people that have that experience, because we really can take our time and unpack information and, like you said, your insights. And sort of, can you give us the background of where you come from within the mining industry?
Yeah, sure, Jared. So I've, like you said, I spent a long time in the mining industry. I worked for mining companies, Canadian mining companies, when I started my career, and had the opportunity to work in regions right across Canada. So I worked for Denison Potacan in New Brunswick, and I learned as a young engineer in training a lot about the milling process for potash, but also, their strength was really in also in mine rescue, and they included me in the mine rescue team, and it was really a first experience for me coming out of university to see that side of the mining industry, and how much emphasis on emergency response was being paid for the safety of the employees. From there, I also worked for Dome, and I worked for Falconbridge in a gold operation in northern Quebec. Got to know what it's like to work in a northern community and really fell in love with that, and really enjoyed working in a small mining community and being able to be part of a really innovative team. Actually, they were doing some new mine designs and getting me involved. It was when computers and software programs were starting to be developed, and I had a lot of opportunity to get involved in that type of work. And
Mm.
then starting my career in Falconbridge was really when I would say the mining industry was pivoting a little bit, in the sense that there was more and more emphasis on safety for mining. And I had an opportunity to learn about geotechnical and geomechanical engineering, and really became a passion of mine. So how do we create new mines and make them safe, understand the geology and what role that plays in the stability of the mining operations, and really learn about that, like this Stevenson Commission, the Ham Commission, some of these, uh, these government led initiatives to work with industry to find safer solutions. And so it was a time when not only looking at geology and geotech, but also where technology was identified through that work, where we want to have better drilling and blasting, where we want to have better backfill, where we need to have better equipment, better lighting, communication systems, automation, and remote control. So all of that was coming into the industry at the same time that I was. And so, what a great time to get my feet wet, so to speak, and start to work on some really innovative technologies, like I said, for the safety of the workers. It shaped the rest of my future and work with the industry from there.
Did you, when you started in the industry, were you planning to go into the mining industry right off the beginning? Was there any sort of family connection to it? And then once you got into the industry, did it sort of open your eyes? Did you realize sort of the industry that you were getting into when you started coming out of university?
Well, so yeah, there's definitely a family history there. My dad's a mining engineer. He immigrated from England to Canada to work in the mines in Northwest Territories, where I was born and raised. And then with an uncle who also was in the mining industry in Sudbury, I had these, two very influential male role models that were always talking about the excitement of mining. And from the time I was a youngster, I was hooked. I was an advocate by the time I was 12. I really feel very passionate about the mining industry and what it brings, and like I said, to the communities in the far north or in northern Ontario, right coast to coast in Canada. I just felt it was a family that I wanted to be part of. Certainly, when I was studying, I was really lucky. I had some excellent summer jobs, and I got to work with other women in the industry for, I would say, a very progressive company. It was Falconbridge at the time. And I also had an opportunity when I first started working in Sudbury, where I guess you could call me naive. I thought there would be more women in the industry. And so when I was waiting to go underground actually at Strathcona Mine, I sort of looked around the worm room, and there weren't any other women there. So I sort of
Like there was none at all?
none. I was the only one
Oh,
there. Yeah. But there was a women's dry. I knew that there must be women somewhere, just none on that shift. And so I
yeah.
began to, poke and prod a little bit. How come there's not very many women? And I recognized, I guess, that there was legislation that prevented mining companies from hiring a lot of women till about 1978, I think it was. And so, didn't have a lot of time, not a lot of runway to attract and bring women into the industry by the time I joined. And so, we've sort of been trudging slowly along, improving the representation of women and other, minority groups into the industry for the last 30 years. And I'm happy to see there's an uptick. Seems to be taking a bigger step more recently, as there are more, I think, visible role models for girls, young girls, to see and to understand, oh, there's an industry here that maybe I can be part of. So yeah, I would say I was I'm not going to say shocked. I was a little bit taken aback, I guess, maybe a little uncomfortable at first, but it really didn't deter me. I was determined to be part of this industry and part of the family.
Yeah, what you say about role models. We've had quite a few women leaders in the across multiple industries lately, or in the last couple of years, and so much of what they do is provide that role model. Just that there is this path forward, that if women choose to go down it, they can see sort of how it develops and sort of people have paved the way. I was going to ask you because Bestech is sort of there's sort of an innovative engineering company for the mining sector, and they've expanded into mining. And I hope this isn't too complicated of a question, but from you saying that you started out when you started out, they were just developing, these computer software programs and all these things that they have developed over the last, 25, 30 years. Does that give you an extra layer of understanding of where to go? Because there's this, you understand how this technology is integrated, and when you want to be innovative, you need to understand how to pivot. So that must play a huge role in the way the value that you can offer the Bestech team.
Does indeed. Yeah, I've been really fortunate. I've worked in research for a long time. And not only in just seeing technology and working with technology providers and working with academics and government and with our workers, and I think that it also opened my eyes to how there's a change management process. There's a culture that's required, and and you need to have very senior support and sustained support, and you need to be aware that there are sort of ups and downs. There's cyclical nature to our industry as well. There's all these external pressures happening, and so I have a lot of those insights, and I think what I can bring now to Bestech is that I can help to work with mining companies as well, to help them to develop the technology roadmaps, to help them to create that vision for their organization from the top, and work with all of the stakeholders inside the company and with external technology providers as well. And as you say, like Bestech, I think has always been a creative, innovative consulting company, and really started their roots on automation. And so that's this like a perfect blend with mining and where we're going as an industry.
Yeah.
To put those two pieces together and have that as an offering to industry, I think is pretty exciting.
I read something through that Bestech has really taken on, from my understanding, and I'll let you explain a little bit more, but it's something I believe that you wrote, and I've read through it. It's called The Whole Mine, and it really, I think there's 10 points in it. Of course, for the sake of time, we wouldn't be able to cover we might need a whole series for it. But there's a few that you sort of lay out that whole mine operation, sort of a vision. You mentioned that earlier. And a vision is so important, because then the people that have those technical skills to develop new technologies and new infrastructures and operational strategies and all these types of things, they know where we're going. They know where we're trying to go. So can you talk a little bit about first where the whole mine came from, that paper that you wrote, but then also maybe just pick out a few. There's a few like electrification and things like that. Waste management has been a huge theme on this show lately. Just organically, people want to talk about it. So can you just talk about the whole mine and some key things from that article that you wrote?
Yeah, sure. It was really an opportunity. So we're building a mining team, and I was trying to portray to the team players as well as to industry who we provide consulting services to, that this not cookie cutter, and that we can actually develop solutions that fit the future vision for the mining operations. And it really is a thought piece where I identify a lot of possibilities. What are some of the innovative things that we can include into your mining operation today, or in the mining operation that we're going to design and build tomorrow, so that it's sustainable, it is safe, that we've eliminated the hazards by engineering them out, by making sure that it's very inclusive, so that we are not just the mine, it's the processing, it's the market, it's the supply chain, it's dealing with communities and government. It's a much broader view, so that the solution that we provide is much more inspiring, much more equitable, if you like. And so, yeah, I broke it into 10 elements, what I thought were the areas where the industry can really leverage some of the new innovations. And I start with modern mining methods and engineering. And we've always gone back to Husserl's sort of mining methods 101 that was written a long time ago. But what can we do today that's different, that leverages all that new technology, the new equipment, the accuracy of the drilling, the blasting, et cetera, and put it into a new mineral deposit to make it economic? And working with really some very visionary leaders, some junior mining companies that where raising capital is going to be a challenge, and where they need industry support, where they need community support. And so we're building that into some of our engineering solutions. We're really proud of some of the really early work. It's October now, and we were able to come up with a very innovative mine design that leverages a lot of the new equipment and their capabilities, and turn a sort of a marginal ore body into something that is going to be profitable for the future, and and safe, and all the rest of it. And it's an ability, I think, for us to also bring in some other technical solutions, like you said, electrification. So this is a big part of my history, working in underground mining, where we have diesel equipment underground, and so there's a lot of diesel particulates and combustion engine products that people are inhaling. They're breathing. They're in that environment. It's creating heat, and it's not it's not a sustainable vision. And so, can we bring in battery electric equipment, swap, or onboard charging, or trolley assist has been around with Vale and Inco for a long time, but how do we bring those technologies forward? Is there hydrogen energy powered equipment in the future? How do we look at even power systems that help the mine, the mill, and maybe even the community? How do we leverage some of those infrastructure items that support more than just a mining operation? How can you be a little bit more holistic with the solutions that you bring? And the Bestech team has a lot of world-class experts. Actually, I'm really excited to work with them. So there is a battery electric expert on our team, an electrical engineer, and designing the mine of the future with the battery systems. We have ventilation control systems, so tracking and tagging of all the people that are in an underground mine, for example, is now possible. And using that knowledge, that data, you can now tailor, using the Bestech, they have developed a product, ventilation control system, that the fans will come on and off as people enter and leave areas underground. And it really, it saves energy, right? And it also is giving you the right amount of air at the right time in the right location. And you're also able to, if you ever hear about recirculating, rather than ventilating the whole mine, and by the time it gets to you, it's hot, you get the air right to the person. And so it's a chance to be cooler and fresher for the people that need it. Those types of solutions are there. And, I think those are the ones that we need to really leverage and put into the future operations. The other really exciting piece of technology that was developed is called Admit. The Admit technology is really a distribution system for underground mining. So it's like an Amazon, the Amazon for underground mining. And, just think back, Amazon in the last 10 years, how it's really influenced all of us, especially now, in a
especially
pandemic.
now.
Yeah, we're all ordering online, getting it delivered to our door. Well, this system is also partnered with Amazon Web Services, so that the manufactured system that's been developed by a sister company to Bestech, called Forte Tech, is a delivery system. So if you're a mechanic underground and you need parts, you can order it through the enterprise system, ERP, and it'll get delivered to you when you need it, so that it's in tune with the sequencing of when that planned maintenance for that piece of equipment would be required, for example. So we're even delivering supplies right to the face, so that when the miner is there, he or she has all the equipment ready for that work, for that shift. It's a way to revolutionize. Honestly, it's a way to revolutionize and transform the industry. And I think Amazon is even on board because they realize the importance of fulfillment centers. So geographical fulfillment centers that can distribute all the supplies to the mining industry, being a huge one with tons of supplies being delivered every day.
In this, see, and I was so there's two parts that when you talked about electrification, now you talk about a basically face-to-face delivery, direct delivery. And I was thinking on the electrification, I was curious, where do you see the most opportunity? Do you see it in mines that are already operational? Like you said, like that ventilation system where they're, as people are coming through, it sort of reminded me of the old, I read an article years ago about Bill Gates' house, and he could walk through, and then the TV would follow him around. So one of these, I don't even know if it was true, but anyway, it sort of reminds me of that, where that ventilation, as you walk into a room, it kicks on. Is that something do you think is that for the mine that's 5 years from now, or are there mines today that are upgrading their equipment and or just looking for ways to be more efficient? Have better ventilation for their staff and things like that. Is there a demand for the operational mines right now?
There is, yeah. That's a living, breathing system that's in mines in the Northwest Territories or in yeah, they're in the mines today. This VCS solution is there. I think the thing that's changing with it is that it's there's more and more technology coming in like Ontario, for example. There's something called 5CP. There's energy being pulled off the grid all the time, and if you exceed a certain threshold, you get billed at a higher rate is what's happening. Yeah. You can use AI, which Bestech developed, to prevent the mines from reaching those peaks and getting a higher cost for their energy solutions, right? So you're able to sort of turn down the fans a bit and still allow the production to go on, but prevent hitting these peak energy pull periods and saving millions of dollars. So that's in place today. That's certainly a solution that's off the shelf.
We've done a lot. Like I said, we've done a lot about waste reduction, and Bestech is very involved in that. The other one that community involvement and project financing. I mean, those two are they're separate, and then they very much operate together. And can you just touch on that, Samantha? Because when we first started the show, there was a lot. When we did the Crownsman show, and then when we transitioned into mine now, it got very technical, and that was back a couple years ago. That community piece was just a huge talking point that we were unpacking, and it was really important, and we haven't got to a lot lately. So, and I know that was in the whole mine that you wrote. So can you talk a little bit about that, sort of your perspective based on your experience and where you see the industry going on that community involvement?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can. So community involvement to me, I think is a big opportunity as risk, right, to the industry as well. If you don't have the community on board with, say, a new project, and I think of the Ring of Fire, for example, in Northern Ontario, it delays, things get delayed. And so this is, when you're looking at the whole mine, is to don't forget about, the community, the Indigenous partners, and how to create, and it's called impact benefit agreements, and work together on solutions. And working with CEO of Dundee Precious Metals and having coffee with Rick Howes and listening to Alistair Ross and other CEOs, some of these visionary thinkers, I agree with them in that, why not have solutions that will benefit the operations and the mining industry as much as the community? And I think there's an absolute need to work together to make sure that the messaging is right, and that the sharing of the wealth, or if you like, there's jobs, benefits. What does the mining industry bring, and what does the community get in return, and what do they have to offer each other is definitely a piece that we need to address when we are doing design for operations. I know for myself when it was a real eye opener for me. I was on my way to a site in a pristine part of the world, and I was waiting in the airport in Sydney, Australia, and a gentleman, I guess, saw my jacket with the name of my mining company on there, and
Mm.
approached me and asked me, if I worked for that company. Do you work in mining? And I said I did, and he sort of expressed this view of, well, mining makes such a mess. It's unfortunate, and I felt very, I don't know, I felt very defensive, if you like, and justifying the mining industry. Well, don't you know we provide jobs and wealth, and we support communities, etc. And we're trying to be responsible, and we are responsible, and continuing on our progression to be sustainable and protecting the environment, etc. And I felt, well, maybe we need to continue to do better. We obviously do, because public perception is there and it's real. And so how do we work and advocate for the industry and advocate for the environment? And, we only have one planet. I get it. And so that's, part of the whole mine is to make sure that we are thinking around those terms and really addressing and seeing what we could do differently. I know we have an operation where there's very strict regulations, and you can only open up a certain area of the mine. It's a surface mine before you bring in your revegetation in behind it. So you can't expand until you've caught up with your revegetation. So you're reclaiming as you go. Why not? Why not work towards a zero footprint mining industry, right? That could be a very inspiring vision for us to work towards. How you do it, is going to take all of our collective brain power to figure that out. But I would say that to me is part of the license to operate,
Hmm.
and part of the risk that we have in industry right now. And working together on that is to me a vital essential.
That do you? I mean, of course, you're with Bestech, but I've talked to you enough to know that you have a genuine a genuine desire to see mining keep going in the direction of having a sustainable future, and seeing it being a benefit on across multiple, which it is, but we can always do better. And I was one, but I'm wondering, so a company like Bestech, who really is, and not that other firms are not, but Bestech, it's like the forefront. They're looking for the innovative solution, like the waste reduction work, the underground, the electrification, everything that they're doing is really trying to move the industry forward. How much of a difference does that make? You've worked on the other side in the industry, in the actual mining operations. How much of a difference do you think that makes to the community when they see the blueprint for the mine has all these solutions to be that much more efficient, that much more sustainable, less damage on the environment, and all that sort of thing? How much of a difference do you think, from a Bestech perspective, when they're drawing the plans for these mines?
Mm-hmm. I think it does make a difference, Jared, in showing that there is a clear understanding from CEOs of these mining
Mm.
companies. Sustainability is a priority, and and then when you even look at some of the recent studies that have come out, and talking with CEOs in the industry, they even in the last 10 years have identified sustainability as as an imperative, as a strategic objective, and for not only the business and its survivability and its ability to thrive, but also in terms of the license to operate and have the community support them. So Bestech is right there and understands that that's a real risk, and probably one of the number one risks today is license to operate, and having the support of the communities behind the mining companies, and showing these are the solutions. I know when I worked with Valley, there was a lot of open houses, there's a lot of public consultation, so that people are aware. Sometimes it's just information, making sure that they understand this is, we're removing a super stack. Yeah, did you know it's coming down? And this is our solution on how we're going forward. A lot of really great engineering into that type of studies in the same way that Bestech does as well, bringing ideas forward for the mining companies to consider and to use in their designs, in an effort to get the community to see the good things that are being done by the companies.
I just want to touch on that, just quickly, that that you said something that I think is absolutely right. That sometimes people just need the information. It's not. I mean, obviously everybody has a voice and opinion, but if you get 1,000 people in a room, you can get a lot of different streams, and it can be hard to sort of move forward. And just providing that information out there. I mean, it's a little thing, but like our show is public. Anybody can watch it. There is no login. You just click play and you can get the information. And do you think mines are going more that direction, where they really not just have to share because there's pressure, and so it sort of forces you in to doing it, but are mines moving to a direction where they really, you talk to these CEOs, is it a genuine, they want to connect? I mean, everybody's different. Obviously, it comes down to an individual. But in a general term on the industry, is there really a desire to want to connect with the community?
There is, and from everything that I've read and the conversations I've had with CEOs, there is absolutely a want to work with the communities and a demonstration of using new technologies and innovations if it's going to help with the license to operate and the community involvement and provide solutions and more equitable and all that, and have people working for the company and pride, and all of that is packaged in there. And I think that they're fundamentally, they want to have safe and environmentally friendly solutions. They really, are looking to that as sort of the foundation moving forward, and using innovation and technology as a way to get there. And it's changing so rapidly. That's probably a risk in itself. It's moving so quickly. So how do you
Yeah.
and adaptable and use all these new technologies? I think you dive in, you need to get going and start to create the culture and have your employees, embrace and bring new ideas forward, and so that you can quickly adopt and adapt and transform your business. It's coming. It's like I said, it's around the corner, and we're at, I'm starting seeing the momentum. I've been involved in 30 years, and the last 5, things are just starting to really take off. It's exciting.
Yeah. Do you that actually leads me to another question. Like, Bestech has been around the discipline. You made a note, and it was actually a new term for me, discipline engineering. I know every engineer watching is going, how is that a new term? But I'm not an engineer. I just hadn't heard it. So what sort of, can you give that we've sort of slid in and out of talking about Bestech, but could you just give that outline of what they're offering to their clients? It's sort of just I know we've talked about their innovation and that, but just that sort of that outlook that they bring. I know you're in a new position with them, but so maybe just that fresh perspective that you're bringing for what you see coming out of Bestech.
Mm-hmm. Well, the culture there is something that I've never seen before. It's a really tight knit, creative company. I'd say that, and they always have their eye on a partnership, if you like, with their clients. And so really having what's best for client, what's best for the project, front and center in all that they do. So it's not always, it's not always what was maybe sold to the other guy, unless that made sense. But working on solutions that meet what the client is looking for. And they have a lot of the discipline engineers, a lot of the disciplines, so civil, mechanical, electrical, all of the mining, all of the different disciplines of engineering in the company, where they have experts, and they bring sort of a technical excellence group that mentor some of the younger engineers, but bring a much more broad solution forward for the client to for their projects and whatever their challenges may be. So that's from my perspective, it all comes down to culture, and it is a really great innovative culture. And creating the solutions that make sense.
Because I've talked to their team, and then it was sort of funny. We sort of talked. We sort of met through LinkedIn separately, and then I was talking to Bestech on the same time. And then you joined the Bestech team, and so it sort of ended up merging together. But I wanted to talk a little bit about. I wanted to give a couple tangible examples, Samantha, because when we talk about this, and I remember for me, again, this is a public show. Anybody can watch it. And I remember even when I first started doing the interviews, I'd come from sort of an equipment background. So I knew sort of that basic operation. There's a ball mill, there's a crusher, there's an underground mine. But I didn't, when people talked about innovation, it just seemed so distant to me. I really didn't understand what they were talking about in a tangible way. Are there a couple of examples that sort of stand out to you as this is how it was done 20 years ago, and now look at what they're doing now and how much better it works? Is there anything that really stands out?
Yeah, so I've been recently with the company, and so we've had some new mining projects that are underway, and one of them is narrow vein, low grade deposits in northern Manitoba. And the idea here, these deposits have been sitting there for a long time because they're just on the edge of being economic. And so the idea here was to bring in a suite of solutions, new technologies and ways to operate this mine and get high production. So a step change in our productivity. Not talking about a small 5 or 10% improvement to the production levels of what we would get even today, let alone 10 years ago in underground mines. But I'm talking like a 300% improvement in our productivity. And so we came up with a new mine design. Because the drills allowed us to drill long, accurate holes. The blasting technologies come a long way, can do very accurate mass blasting. And we can allow using a rail-bear system to pull the ore out of the bottom, the draw sills into the rail-bear and move that material out to our sorting machine. From there into a mill with higher head grades and putting waste back in underground for stability. And so being able to actually marry that design with another mining method to help protect the crown pillar so that we can maintain stability. And there's a lot of surface water in that area. So it was a great experience, and being able to even add on automation and remote control capabilities for this facility so that it can be all the data can come in centralized. We'll have access to it, and we can analyze and assess how the operation is operating, and rooms for improvement or any bottleneck studies that we need to do from there. This is one example. Another example, also quite recent, is an open pit operation that's going underground. And so how we can bring some of the new technology that talk about electrification, so battery electric equipment, drilling capabilities, and adapt it for this underground operation. And any of the waste materials, can we use the surface pit as a site for disposal? Trying to just think of different ways to create a different solution for the mines than what we would have done in the past.
Does it, now that you're getting into it, and of course, being in the industry, you would have been aware of a lot of this innovation. Does it still surprise you, some of the stuff that they're putting together? I mean, you get these different teams of experts, like you said, in different disciplines that can amalgamate these technologies, the sensor technology, and everything like this together. Do you still look at what's happening, and are you still surprised by some of the stuff that they're able to put together now?
I'm inspired by it. I think it's visionary. And it's leadership. It really harkens to it. I was really lucky when I was part of the Sudbury team. We had training with a company called Vanto Group Training, and it's really about putting yourself in the future and seeing what's possible, rather than sitting here and trying to incrementally improve to get something. You create that vision and then work to get there, and that's really what we're doing. We're just creating that future vision and putting the pieces together that make that happen. And it's a different way of coming at a project. And like I said, it's really inspiring, and amazing results come out of it. It's and I would say, like, the CEOs, all of these leaders of these companies that we're working for, are completely supportive of this. And I think that's just their way of working anyway. Like, that's how they become so successful in their role, is that they're always trying to stand out and anticipate what the future would be, and
Mm-hmm.
putting the technology and the designs to fit that vision anyway. It's like I said, it's exciting, and it's inspiring.
Yeah, it really is. And it makes like doing a show like this, from a selfish perspective, it makes it so fun to do these shows because there's always, sometimes I get a topic and I go, oh, there's similar to a topic that we did a few months ago. And then as I start reading about halfway through it, I go, oh, there's so many different streams that it's vaguely about underground mining, but there's two completely different outlooks on it. So it's very exciting. Um, there was a time when you and I probably would have done this interview at a live CIM event. You're the first remote interview I've done for the CIM president. Roy Slack really was instrumental in getting Mining Now. I mean, he really brought everybody together and kept everybody sort of communicating to get it possible. And in a way, you're sort of continuing on that legacy of collaboration because we're a separate organization from CIM, and it's been great. But could you just talk? How would I say it? I've seen a lot of support for CIM, and I really hope members are supporting it. But there's beyond just, wanting to support it, there's so much value. Our little company, I mean, we really launched off the CIM floor and got to know people and learned about the industry. I mean, that's all been through CIM, how it started. What has it meant to you in your career? When did you actually get involved with CIM?
I got involved with CIM when I was at University of Toronto, and I was a student.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was U of T, and so PDAC, the Prospect
Mm-hmm.
Developers Association Canada, they were always in, the Royal York Hotel, which is just down the road from U of T campus. So our professors would say, come on, come and get involved with PDAC. And from there, the CIM had a Toronto branch, so we could, to have a students' night, and they invite us out and give us, some free drinks. As a student, I was always a big draw. to
That
meet
was plenty.
some of the executives. And my dad's always been a promoter of the CIM as well. It wasn't even a second question in my head. I was just like, yeah, sign up. It makes sense. I want to be part of this network. I want to be able to engage with other members right across our country and talk about what they're doing and what I'm doing, and how we can continuously grow as professionals, and to help our industry as well, and advocate. And I think that for me is another big sort of passion, is that how can I be an advocate? I really, yeah, I don't know, it's a weird passion for the mining industry, and I also do for science and engineering for women in particular, just to try and open people's eyes to what science and engineering, or STEM careers, are possible for all segments of society, if you like. And so yeah, it's been a big part of my life. I would say probably the most challenging role with CIM is from Mike Sylvester in Sudbury branch asked me to be head of the audio visual. So, making sure what you're doing or what Gaudi's doing, trying to make sure everything runs without a hitch. And so, and from there I got onto the Sudbury branch, and from Sudbury branch I got into the national. And here I am, as president of the CIM, and I can hardly believe it. It's been an extremely challenging year, as you mentioned, because of the pandemic, and not just for us, mentally, physically, and whatnot, but CIM is really renowned for their annual general meetings. It's where we get together, all of our membership and our supply service sector, everybody, industry, everybody is there. And without that, it's, why would you want to be part? Well, because we can continue to do virtual, right? So we're really leveraging and getting excellent at doing virtual conferences and seminars and symposiums. We've created an academy, so you can go in and find presentations and learn or read papers from other members and improve your own professional and technical knowledge. Yeah, there's still, I think, a lot to be said for face-to-face, but at this point, the virtual is working for people, and they have been very generous in continuing their support of the CIM and helping us through this period as we transform our delivery methodology and helping to keep people involved as much as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's funny you were saying about the young people and they'd come in for a free drink, and I was student age when I was going, but I was already in a professional career, so I never did the student thing. But I remember seeing the students that have their backpacks on, that have their little cart, and they'd be walking around. Some of them looked sort of excited, some of them looked completely overwhelmed, I remember. But yeah, that what CIM brings to the table, it's like it's hard to, the thing that it's hard is to quantify it. It's like you meet one person at CIM, and from that they connect you with a whole other world that you didn't even know existed, especially, and I'm talking about when you're starting out a career, and it's hard to quantify. It's like you could, let's say, and I love LinkedIn, I use it all the time, but you use it, and it's actually very challenging to go multiple steps. You can direct one person and then build that relationship. Whereas CIM, one introduction can lead to 20. It's a completely different thing. And just for people that are sort of getting into the industry, having you on the show and talking about your career, being with all the companies you went with, and then now starting as a VP of Bestech, and then just CIM being around through that whole stream of your career. It's just such an interesting thing. And I hope people watching it will, if you're not a member already, will see that, we'll see from this interview sort of that journey that you took, and then connect to CIM, because they've got some great stuff that they're going. And I think the challenges have opportunities, and I think CIM is really starting to look for those opportunities, and it is exciting.
Yeah, we are. Thank you, Jared. Yeah. And thank you, thanks for Mining Now and for these types of podcasts. I think that's just an awesome addition to what we have to offer to our industry members. So thanks for that.
It's a lot of fun. We started off this just to promote other services that we hardly even offer now, because this is just, people enjoy it. Rather than trying to tell other people that we used to do a lot more consulting, and that this is just learning and then sharing it out. I mean, it is a job, but it's a pretty fun one. So yeah, and people like yourself and Roy Slack and coming on the show, it gives us a huge boost. So thank you very much, Samantha, for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks, Jared, for the interview. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please check out Bestech. That website, I was trying to go through it all, but there's all these service streams that they do, and it's such a cool place, and it's very well designed as well, so you can sort of get that information quickly. Actually, Samantha, I just wanted to quickly ask, the whole mine that you wrote, is that on their website? Where can people get that?
Yeah, it is. It's under the Mining Engineering Services tab, and at the bottom you can click the download, or you can email me. I'll send it to you as well.
Okay, we'll put contact information, and we'll put that link in there as well if you'd like to read it. It's a very nice outline of where the mining industry is in some cases, but also where it can go. It's a really nice thing to read. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Please keep suggesting guests. Please check out CIM. Check out Bestech. Thank you for watching and supporting the mining industry. We will talk to you on the next episode of Mining Now.
Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, whether it's Mining Now, Crownsman Show, or Crownsman Energy, please contact us, info@crownsman.com. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and we will see you on the next episode.